The Strait of Hormuz is the world's most important oil choke point, a narrow passage connecting the Persian Gulf to the open ocean. Every day, a fifth of the world's petroleum supply flows through this artery. Tankers, vast as floating cities, navigate its congested lanes, carrying the lifeblood of the global economy. If this artery were severed, even briefly, the consequences would be catastrophic. Soaring petrol prices, halted industries, and global trade in chaos. This fragile passage is an economic kill switch, placing immense power in the hands of Oman and Iran, who control its shores. Hundreds of vessels traverse these waters daily, but stability is never guaranteed. The strait is only 21 miles wide at its narrowest, with shipping lanes just 2 miles wide in each direction, making it an easy target. A single mine, collision, or blockade could bring traffic to a standstill. The global economy assumes the oil will keep flowing, but a handful of actors can turn off the tap. This vulnerability keeps strategists in Riyadh, Washington, and Beijing awake at night. For Saudi Arabia, whose wealth is built on oil exports, this dependence is a source of existential dread. Most of its crude is loaded at Persian Gulf terminals like Ras Tanura, with only one way out, through Hormuz. This geographical straitjacket has defined Saudi strategy for generations. The kingdom's economic destiny is tied to a waterway it does not control. The question for Riyadh is no longer if it should find a way out, but how, and how quickly. The world's dependence on this single point of failure is a profound weakness. For Saudi Arabia, the stakes could not be higher. The search for an escape route has become a national imperative. Looming over the Strait of Hormuz is Iran, whose coastline dominates the northern shore. Its Navy and Revolutionary Guard Corps can disrupt or close the waterway, a threat that haunts Saudi Arabia. The two rivals are locked in a struggle for regional dominance, and Iran has repeatedly threatened to close the strait. Tehran's arsenal, anti-ship missiles, fast attack boats, naval mines, makes these threats real. For Saudi Arabia, every barrel of oil that sails through Hormuz does so under the shadow of Iranian power. The kingdom's largest oil fields and export terminals are all on its vulnerable eastern coast, facing Iran. A conflict could trap the Saudi fleet and expose vital infrastructure. This has forced Riyadh to rethink its entire strategy. To secure its future, Saudi Arabia must escape both the shadow of Iran and the confines of the Persian Gulf. The search for alternatives is now the kingdom's central organizing principle. In response, Saudi Arabia is pivoting west, to the Red Sea. This is the Great Red Sea Pivot, a multi-trillion-dollar plan to reorient the kingdom's economic and strategic center. The goal is to build new cities, ports, and industrial zones along the Red Sea, creating a direct corridor to Europe and Africa, bypassing Hormuz. The Red Sea, connected to the Mediterranean via the Suez Canal, is a global trade superhighway. By developing this coast, Saudi Arabia aims to become a logistics hub, not just an oil exporter. This is the heart of Vision 2030. Diversify the economy, reduce vulnerability, and connect to global markets. Projects like NEOM and the Red Sea Project are just the beginning. The real challenge is building the infrastructure, ports, pipelines, logistics networks, to make this pivot work. For Saudi Arabia, the risk of inaction is greater than the risk of change. At the heart of this strategy is NEOM, a futuristic city and global trade hub. Its port, near the Gulf of Aqaba, is designed to be one of the world's most advanced and efficient. Fully automated, it will use AI and robotics to handle the world's largest ships with unprecedented speed. The port will connect seamlessly to NEOM's industrial zones, a new airport, and a high-speed rail network. The vision makes Saudi Arabia indispensable to global supply chains. But building a high-tech port in the desert is a massive challenge. NEOM's port is a symbol of Saudi ambition, a break from the past, and a bet on technology. It's a declaration that the kingdom will no longer be a prisoner of its geography. Yet, Saudi Arabia faces a basic problem. It lacks a cross-country freight rail network. Billions are being spent on ports and cities, but there's no efficient way to move goods from the Persian Gulf to the Red Sea. Existing rail lines are sparse and not built for heavy freight. Until a true east-west rail corridor is built, the kingdom must rely on trucks, costly, inefficient, and unsustainable for the volumes required. This missing link is a major bottleneck in the Red Sea strategy. Without connectivity, even the most advanced port is just an isolated outpost. The mundane reality of infrastructure could hold back the kingdom's grand vision. The vulnerability of Hormuz is not theoretical. It's real and present. When risks spiked, the Mediterranean Shipping Company began offloading cargo at King Abdullah Port on the Red Sea, trucking it over 2,300 kilometers to the Gulf. This land bridge is a logistical feat, but also a sign of desperation. It's costly, slow, and unsustainable, but it keeps goods flowing when the maritime route is threatened. The move is a proof of concept for Saudi Arabia's Red Sea pivot. Yet, relying on trucks is a temporary fix, not a long-term solution. It buys time while permanent infrastructure is built. The convoys crossing the desert are a symbol of a kingdom improvising its way to security. Moving oil is even harder. Enter the East-West Pipeline, or Petroline. This massive pipeline cuts across the desert, linking eastern oil fields to the Red Sea port of Yanbu. It can pump millions of barrels per day, bypassing Hormuz entirely. Built during the Iran-Iraq War, it's Saudi Arabia's insurance policy against a Gulf blockade. But its capacity is limited, and it's vulnerable to attack along its 1,200-kilometer route. The pipeline is a powerful tool, but not a perfect solution. A prolonged Hormuz closure would still slash exports. In energy geography, every solution brings new risks. Saudi Arabia's grand strategy is to escape Hormuz by pivoting to the Red Sea, building new ports, and using pipelines and overland routes. The aim: resilience and redundancy, so no single adversary can hold the kingdom hostage. But geography is stubborn. The new routes lead to another choke point, Bab el-Mandeb, at the southern end of the Red Sea. This strait is guarded by Yemen, where Iran-backed Houthi rebels threaten shipping with mines and missiles. In escaping Iran's shadow at Hormuz, Saudi Arabia faces a new threat, again backed by Iran, at Bab el-Mandeb. The risks haven't disappeared, they've just shifted. The security of the Red Sea is now as critical as the Persian Gulf. Saudi Arabia has swapped one set of anxieties for another. Geography remains the master, and the game is far from over.